352 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. Do you feel stupid for buying a timeshare? Don't. It's not your fault. You were most likely told you could rent it, and it was a great financial investment. And the deal was available today only. If this happened to you, contact your resort or Wesley Financial Group for help today.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-242-3131. 800-242-3131.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Israeli military strikes have killed 3 people west of Gaza City, according to the hospital where the casualties arrived. Shefa Hospital reports the deaths amid the months-old ceasefire that has seen continued fighting. The Israeli army says it's striking targets in response to Israeli troops coming under fire in Rafah, which it says is a violation of the ceasefire. The army says it's striking targets in a precise manner and will put out a full statement once the operation is finished. The massive fire in Hong Kong last November killed 168 people, has devastated the tight-knit community that lived in the now largely burnt-out apartment complex. Residents displaced by the blaze remain unsure whether they can visit what's left of their apartments or when they can secure permanent housing. Authorities blame substandard materials for the rapid spread of the fire, and the blaze is still under investigation. News and analysis, townhall.com. North Carolina Republican lawmakers are demanding a crime crackdown following a recent attacks on Charlotte's light rail line.
The August fatal stabbing of Ukrainian refugee Irina Zarutska and a December non-fatal stabbing on the same rail system fueling GOP critiques. Republican Representative Brendan Jones cited failures in criminal justice functions for Zarutska's death. Charlotte Mayor Vi Lyles and others have highlighted additional safety measures for the light rail, but Democrats on the committee accuse the panel of engaging in cynical partisan theater. Jason Walker reporting.
Lawmakers have tried to interview Ghislaine Maxwell, but the Jeffrey Epstein co-conspirator invoked her Fifth Amendment rights. Maxwell currently serving 20-year sentence at a federal prison camp. Townhall.com.
Welcome to the middle of it with Jeb Hart. I'm Jeb Hart. I am so happy to be with you. I got Clayton Harris with me on this beautiful Tuesday morning. How are you, Clayton?
Doing well, Jeb. How about yourself?
Oh, doing lovely, as best I can. My son did wake me up at 4 a.m, so I'm sure. And honestly, the 3 dudes didn't get contentious enough to wake me up as it normally does. Sometimes normally it works better than coffee to get the blood going, but
I think if we gotten that link figured out earlier, we probably would be there, but that didn't happen.
So I'm gonna have to wake myself up of my own accord. Now I got a few things. I'll let you pick it because I've had a few. One, I found something interesting about the Super Bowl, but it happened not in the game, but a day later. And then the other thing with just the general idea, it's more philosophical about the Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie, and like the media narrative that we kind of touched on yesterday. Also in the, sometime in the second hour, I do want to get into some of the new Epstein files that came out that are definitely worth noting. What I'm going to let Clayton have a dealer's choice on your end.
You're asking me where we want to begin?
Yeah, like I said, something new about the Super Bowl, the Nancy Guthrie situation, the Epstein file drop and the letters and a few other things, I think might be for the second segment because it kind of deserves a little standalone. But your call.
Yeah, go ahead with the Super Bowl. I'm interested to hear about that.
All right, so we all talked about it yesterday, and it was not compelling. Nobody's going to remember that Super Bowl. I mean, outside of Patriots fans who were furious at Drake May, like it wasn't dramatic, it wasn't memorable, and no one's really going to be talking about it a year from now or whatever. But the aftermath of that, I did stumble upon something that was actually really interesting to me, and it gives me a perfect excuse to do something that I love deeply, which is just absolutely trashing on California, because the absolute catastrophe that they are as a governance state. Because buried underneath all like the Super Bowl hype is something about like how it actually works, and like the cleanest, most textbook version of how California manages to make something simple like hosting a football game turn into a bureaucratic, just ridiculous cash grab. Now, like, so California will tell you there's no such thing as an athlete tax. They say, no. This is a normal income tax rules just apply to non-residents. But here's how it works in practice. California has a rule that if you are a non-resident and you come into California and perform work there, California gets to tax the portion of your income that was earned, or as they perceive it, earned in California. That part on the surface sounds relatively normal. And if you're a consultant and you do like a week-long project in California, you might, owe California a week worth of income. But for athletes, California does not look at hours worked. They don't look at games played. They have this weird caveat called duty days. And duty days basically means every day you are on the job. So like as a professional athlete, it's like practice days, travel days, walkthroughs, team meetings, media obligations, game days, all of it. And if you're doing team business, that's also a duty day, however they define it. And so then they do this thing where they take the total number of duty days for the year. And I think the average would be about 200 for an NFL player. And they figure out how many of those duty days happened in California. And then California says, okay, you spent X percent of your working year in California. So California gets X percent of your entire annual income. And this is where it gets even more ridiculous because let's just use like a simple hypothetical. If you are an NFL player making 10 million, let's keep it round. So between training camp, the regular season, the practices, postseason, media stuff, everything, call it 200 just to be even and round. And the Super Bowl's in California. Super Bowl week isn't just some like you show up and play situation. Like it's a full-time media circus. Like we all see it. It goes on from 7 to 10 days. So depending on the schedule, the media day, practices, meetings, all that stuff, it is 10 days in California for the Super Bowl. California then goes, all right, perfect. We got 10 duty days out of 200. That's 5%. 5% of 10 million is $500,000. So California has now decided that you earned $500,000 in California. Even if you don't live there, don't vote there, your kids don't go to school there, you don't have public services delivered there, and you didn't even choose the location of the Super Bowl. You just went there because that's where the NFL told you that's where it was happening. And they don't tax that 500,000 at like a standard 3 to 4% rate. They tax it at the high income earner California rate, which is 13.3%. So you're looking at a California tax bill somewhere in the neighborhood of $60,000 to $70,000 just because the Super Bowl happened to be played there and you happen to make it. And then add on the fact you take someone like Sam Darnold, who won the Super Bowl, got the $178,000 bonus. So California, like they're trying to say they're not taxing your bonus, but it's a lot worse than that because the California is using the Super Bowl as some tax hook to slice out a gigantic portion of your entire year's income that was not earned there, which means for certain players, especially the highest of the earners, it is completely possible. And in Sam Darnold's case, it cost him, including the bonus, $71,000 to play in the Super Bowl because of the way the taxes are structured. And like it can effectively get wiped out or you're in the negative. And so that is a lot of other people who fall into that category of it either being like a net negative for winning, and that doesn't include the ones that, lost who didn't get the bonus and all that. And it doesn't even stop there. Like if you're an NFC team and you played road games against the Rams or the 49ers during that year, that is more California duty days. And every extra day you spend in California increases the percentage of the income that California gets to claim so like a duty day fraction grows, and then suddenly the tax bill isn't 60,000. It can be 90,000, 120,000. It might be like, depending on your pay and your total duty days. And like, if you notice what the reality is, it's not paying taxes where you live. It's not paying taxes where you chose to work. This is California basically being like, if you're successful and you step foot in here for business, we are going to treat you as a revenue source. And then you'll leave and we won't have to provide anything for you. And the reason people like, hey, it's colloquially called the jock tax. And people hate it because they think that like athletes are special in some way. It's because the logic is so aggressive that it feels extortionary. And that's kind of what California always does. They take something that should be relatively straightforward, hosting a sporting event. They turn it into a complicated, overly punitive system that makes you wonder, like, why anybody would voluntarily choose to do business in this place. Weather's lovely. I'll grant you that. That is step one. But like California will brag about hosting the Super Bowl and act like it's some great achievement. Meanwhile, like behind the scenes, they're sending a bill to every single player who participated. And the same thing happens to visiting NBA teams, baseball, NHL players, anyone who comes and plays in California at all. Just as the Super Bowl is the most dramatic example because it's, the one event, the one weekend, and, a huge tax bite due to the bonuses and everything else. But like the next time someone tells you like, oh, it's so progressive and well run, it's the future. Just remember, California, you can win the Super Bowl and the state finds a way to make it a net negative to where you lost money. And that is just baffling to me. And I found that out yesterday.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder why the NFL wants to continue to do business at a place like that. I mean, if I'm part of the players union,
The NFLPA needs to step in.
I agree. I mean, if they're going to represent their players, I mean, I've always said too, because each individual NFL game you get paid and you get taxed based on where that game's at. So if you play a game up in Chicago, you're going to pay Illinois state income tax. If the game's played in Tennessee, you're not going to pay any. And I've often said that if I'm an NFL guy, I'm playing in Texas, I'm playing in Tennessee, or I'm playing in Florida. No state income tax. And, half of your home games are going to be at home, so those won't get double taxed. The the federal government's going to get their third. But yeah,
the PA needs to step in some regard, basically being like, if y'all are going to schedule a game that we have absolutely zero, it's y'all's call where it goes. Like it goes, California, Atlanta, wherever it may be. We don't have a say in that. So unless y'all are going to foot the bill, have it a place where this is not going to be an issue where because basically they are choosing to pay out money that is going to get just clawed back. Like it's a weird, the California tax, like, because the NFL is obviously they're going to make money off of it, ad revenue and everything else, but they're paying out $178,000 to every single one of the players on that roster. And I also think that the staff gets money as well as a bonus. I mean, from the NFL, not just from contractual stuff they have. So they're just choosing to cash checks just so that California can take more than half of it as part of this duty day thing. So they're just moving money between the NFL office in New York to some California, like to Sacramento, when like they knew that ahead of time. It's a weird choice to know ahead. And I from a person who does, I know. So my neighbor when I lived in Memphis was for a little bit was a guy, John Conchar, was a he played for the Grizzlies, was kind of a rotation guy. But he was talking about how ridiculous it was when they had to go play in Toronto, like even getting the game check because it was Canadian dollars. Then like the check had to get transferred back, and all of it turned into this. He was like, basically, I leave that to the end of the year and have those all together and then pay it. He was like, because it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And then, but like in California, that one at least requires a lot of proactive effort in order for you to get that money changed over. The California one, they're the ones being proactive and taking it and, basically just sending you the bill. And I would be, I'm not gonna be furious if I won the Super Bowl. You kind of take that one in stride. You're making enough money, but the general practice of it or the sensibility of it is just to be able to take a percentage of your annual income and average it out. And their metrics aren't actually, the reason I use like the round 200 number, I thought that when they went to go try to, get this check back from them, that they like looked at actually how many days they worked and did all that. They're back of the napkining it and then being like, this is what you owe us. And then anytime the government sends you some sort of bill, having a fight over it is never a really great idea. You just kind of deal with it. And they're just being like, you probably worked about 200, so that's about 5%. And then you were here and you had that signing bonus. So we're going to take a little piece of that because California helped you do that. And then you go back to Seattle or, Foxborough, Massachusetts, where you get absolutely zero benefit from the tax dollars that you just shoveled over into this coffers and then carry on about your life. I mean, it's borderline extortionary. I mean, there's things where it's a lot easier to pass some sort of policy where your voters are not the ones affected, like a hotel tax or those sort of tourism things where the people who have the ability to cast a vote for you are not negatively affected. And it's how a lot of stadiums get built and a lot of things like that is that there's some sort of tourism tax or resort fees or things like that those underlie the bonds that build some stadium that the city's not going to completely cut the check, but they find a way to do it that way. And the people who are voting aren't affected because they're not staying in hotels in their own city. So you kind of get around it. And it's a pretty easy way to go about it. But we can circle back on some of that other tomfoolery when we get back from the break. I also got, like I said, we got some Epstein stuff. We got some news on the Nancy Guthrie situation worth discussing. And we will
the Epstein stuff real quick as we go to the break. I have a feeling you're not going to hear this report. I think I know what you're going to talk about. You're not going to hear this report on the mainstream media a whole lot, I bet.
And we can read it out in totality and give a little bit of a breakdown because this might have been a backfire.
100%.
We'll see y'all in just a minute.
From Columbia Central High School football. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
Hi, I'm Robert Rogers at Parks Motor Sales Buick GMC.
And I'm Michael Parks Lawrence at Parks Motor Sales Buick GMC.
Together, we're Mr. Bobby Parks' grandsons, and we run his dealership, and we are glad to be part of our local community.
Being family-owned and operated, we invest heavily in our community.
We do things like sports teams, schools, bands, you name it. We try to help everybody we can.
The reason why we do this is because we all love this community.
So come do business with us, your neighbors, at Parks Motor Sales in Columbia, Tennessee, right off Nashville Highway, or at parksmotorsales.com.
Let's talk custom design jewelry. Did you know Tillis Jewelry in downtown Columbia creates custom design jewelry and has been for over 30 years? From one-of-a-kind engagement rings to wedding bands and so much more. We want each piece to be as unique as you are and create a family heirloom for tomorrow. Call today and make an appointment with one of our designers. And just for calling, you will receive a free 30-minute consultation. Tillis Jewelry, creating custom jewelry proudly in Tennessee.
Hi, Jimmy here for Columbia Ace Hardware. Columbia Ace Hardware now carries Magnolia Home by Joanna Gaines paint. Now their premium quality and huge selection of colors will be right in your neighborhood. Along with the award-winning service and advice Columbia Ace has always provided for your paint projects. Around the block, what you need in stock, with people who know their paint. Columbia Ace, the helpful place.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Do you have trees that need trimming or removed? Do you have stumps that you want grounded? A1 Tree Trimming and Removal is a family-owned and operated business local to Columbia and Lewisburg. They also service surrounding Middle Tennessee. We are licensed and insured and provide free estimates. No job is too big, no tree is too small. Give old Luke a call or text Luke at 931-359-3113. Or you can check them out on Facebook and tell A1 Tree Removal that you heard this ad on the radio. If you love America, then you will love A1 Tree Removal.
You're not just a homeowner, you're also an ice maker that didn't read the job description owner. Fortunately, you've got heating and cooling built and tested to keep going. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, built to a higher standard.
Call Davis Heating and Cooling at 931-388-2090 for all your home comfort needs. Davis Heating and Cooling is your local independent American Standard dealer and proudly serves the Murray County area. Find Davis Heating and Cooling online and on Facebook or call today, 388-2090.
Hey, this is Seth Moss at Tennessee Valley Equipment, a premier FAE PrimeTech, Bandit, and Surex dealer. We are your dealer for all of your land clearing and forestry mulching needs. We sell equipment, provide repair service, and parts along with a rental fleet of mulching equipment. We also offer mulching teeth, blades, and sharpening. Our number one priority is getting you up and running as quickly and affordable as possible. Tennessee Valley is located at 300 Santa Fe Pike in wonderful Columbia, Tennessee. Stop by or give us a call today at 931-981-9812.
This is Debbie Matthews with the Nashville Realty Group, and if you've been paying attention, you know the housing market has been tough, but rates are beginning to thaw. So if you're thinking about selling, the time to jump in is getting better every day. But if you're thinking about buying, and those interest rates are still a little bit too high, a good agent knows how to negotiate interest rate buydowns. And I'm a good agent, so call me, Debbie Matthews with Nashville Realty Group, 615-476-3224.
This is Hal Landers, owner of Landers Insurance Agency. We are an independent agency representing the famous Erie Insurance Group. Landers Insurance Agency has been committed to providing great rates and great service since 2002. Whether it's home and auto or business or life insurance, we've got you covered. 24/7 in-house claim service, we've got that too. Visit Landers Insurance at 514 North Garden Street, Columbia. Call us at 931-380-2003. Our website is landersinsuranceagency.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
This is Trip Stoltz with Columbia Ace Hardware. I love listening to 101.7 WKOM FM, Columbia, Tennessee.
I'm Thomas Burns with Workout Anytime 24/7 Columbia and Franklin. Are you ready to train with confidence? Well, Ramp delivers 100% custom built workouts with our certified personal trainers and has custom nutrition plans built for your goals. No matter your experience level, let's break through those plateaus. Let's see those results. Let's start today at workoutanytime.com/Columbia or call 931-325-9823. Don't forget, Workout Anytime 24/7 wants to ramp you up.
Welcome back to the middle of it. I'm Jeb Hart. I'm glad y'all are with us for our second segment on this beautiful Tuesday. I got Clayton Harris with me. Morning, buddy.
Morning, Jeb. Good morning, everybody.
All right. I nuanced the subtle tax implications of winning a bunch of money in California as a riveting first segment, but the juicy items that I'm actually shocked did not get brought up in Three Dudes, which would have been a pretty reasonable decompression session to go over. But like the new round of the Epstein files, or the new narrative that cycles around of Trump is in the Epstein files, because the turn of phrase is doing a lot of the heavy lifting without doing any of the explaining. Like what's driving the latest news cycles reported by like the FBI and the DOJ about an account from an interview or a phone call rather that Trump had with the Palm Beach sheriff at the time in like 2006. And the report in the FBI, like they made notes. I mean, it wasn't like a transcript, but it was notes from the call that happened. And like Trump, like called Ritter, I believe his name was, and told the investigators that he came back and the investigation was already public, and he said like more or less, "Thank God y'all are going after him. Everybody knows he's a monster, and that lady is evil." And like you don't have to like Trump one way or another to understand why that matters, because like it gets right to the part of the conversation people just decide to skip. In the files is very different than complicit in the negative things. If you witnessed a murder and reported it to the police, congrats. You are in a police file. I can accurately state that about you. I can say he's in this police report. It is don't read it, but I need you to know that he's in that police file. Like, yeah, but he helped solve a murder and they had to write his name down. Like, so yes, once you start to get into the technicalities of like they're in there, but you're refusing to get into the actual things, you're just trying to imply the worst possible version for a narrative's sake in order to try to reframe it in a way that you hope the vast majority of people don't ask the follow-up question of, okay, he's in them. I got that part. What did he do? Did he do anything? Well, what happened? Would you mind explaining to me what's in there? And like when you just start to use that turn of phrase to do 99% of the lifting of your argument, then you're kind of gone, and you're just hoping on a prayer that nobody like does one more click to figure out what's actually there. Because once you can say something is factually true but intellectually dishonest, is once you start to go down a pretty slippery slope.
Yeah, I've been saying it the last couple of weeks. If you want to believe everything in the Epstein files, then you must believe everything in the Epstein files. I mean, that's just, you can't just pick and choose what you want to believe to fit your narrative. So if you want to believe that everything in the files are true, then you must believe everything in the files are true. And, yeah, I mean, again, it just goes back to the hypocrisy deal, and it just shows the true intentions of
picking and choosing of outrage.
Yeah, I mean, it's selective outrage. Yeah, absolutely.
And so like the people who, during the Biden administration were harping on this were called, QAnon, 4chan conspiracy theorists. And they were like, no, I think this is worth looking into. And then as soon as it became even possible that his name was mentioned in it, it became the major talking point of the Democratic Party. So often to be like, he's only doing this good thing that people are talking about and liking to distract from the Epstein file. Like the amount of times that gets brought up when initially they were the ones who wanted to release in the first place. And then all of that political pressure was the thing that made them release them quicker. I'll say that Pam Bondi saying that they were on her desk was a gigantic communications mistake, because that was an absolutely ridiculous version. Them handing it out to bloggers, walking out of the White House with, it's 3 million documents in reality, but they were walked out with like a binder that was like, those I can absolutely criticize and say that was handled poorly in that regard, because it set an expectation that if they were honest and were just like, y'all, this is 3 million pages. We got a lot. There are a lot of graphic things. There are a lot of personal details. There are a lot of names. There are a lot of pictures that I'm certain people don't want out there. But once you get pressured and like poked and needled in this like political just echo chamber of like you're hiding something, the reason you're not putting it out is you're hiding something, you rush it, and then they have these bad redactions that you can just fix in Adobe, or pictures of naked like underage girls, which is a crime. Like all of those things like need to be like, the reason that it was slow rolled out was to make sure that those things didn't happen. And then you get the political pressure on the other side of it, and you start to make sloppy mistakes, because if you're not hiding the thing that you're being accused of, and what you're being accused of is pretty bad. So like you do have an incentive to try to get out in front of that. But I think, and I said this, I think on Three Dudes like 6 months ago, 7 months ago. It was like, I think that and this was just a call, and that based on no evidence whatsoever, just speculation and just a vibe check, was that he was protesting, or at least appearing to protest, the release of them, so that the push would be so hard from the other side to where they thought it was their idea.
Yeah, kind of a little reverse psychology there.
A little rope-a-dope.
Yep.
You get you'd have to like, no, I don't want this at all. You have to. You have to do it. I don't want to do it. All right, let's get it passed through Congress to where we have to do it. No, please don't do this. Congress passed it. Boom, here we go. And they're like, oh, now we don't want to talk about that anymore. Like once you start to notice the talking point shift and how much it was prioritized, you recognize it was never about the justice for the victims. It was never about the transparency of leadership. It was about getting Donald Trump in trouble, or at least shifting a political narrative. Once it becomes something that's not, in any way adjacent to the premeditated goal, it is no longer a talking point, and we are moving on. There's other things that you're trying to distract from, or other things you're trying to not talk. It'll be livability in whatever terms people define that. It'll be like, jump to something else that is a negative version of it. The SAVE Act thing, I think that maybe has about a week left of media traction before they realize that the polling on that's just not going to go. They'll still vote against it, but they won't be publicly discussing it. That one they'll put under the table, but keep the votes the same. Once you just start to telegraph a script way too clearly, it's like a Hallmark rom-com. How it's going to go. The girl leaves her job in New York to be busy business lady and wears a suit, and then goes back to some place in Vermont, and a guy in a flannel shirt who she dated in college or high school, very attractive, in good shape, and she leaves her finance boyfriend, who probably didn't really do anything wrong. He just shows up later and is like, what happened? You know how the story goes. The script is pretty transparent from the jump. And a lot of times people like that sort of comfort of knowing what's going to happen. And that's why they watch those sort of things. Politics shouldn't be that. Yet in this case, you know where it's going to go. And that part is the unsettling thing, is that I have a fear that people genuinely want the Hallmark telegraphed punch more than they want actual legislation, because it's not complicated where they're going to go, where they'll pivot, what will happen. So it's just, all that we talked about it yesterday about the polling things, because securing the border sounds a lot better than immigration enforcement. And that's, the right thing. So, that's polled, that is tested. The words that work. Gender affirming care is a lot better than sex changes. The words and phrasing and the way that they go about it is not that complicated of a Da Vinci Code thing to decipher. We're all we know where they're going with it. Sometimes we suspend disbelief for our own values. And it was something that I was going to ask in the previous segment, but on Three Dudes, about, he was commissioner was talking about the people who are too tied to party over governance, and they get kind of stuck. And I have a question that I think people might get stuck into it by accident, because they think in order to get the thing that they prioritize the most passed, they have to have the people on their side in their party. So they have to go along with a lot of things that they don't agree with in order to try to do well or try to do good by their people. And then it just gets out of hand, or it gets past them without them realizing that they started to go down this road. And that's where, even good people, it's not some Mr. Smith goes to Washington situation. It becomes, two wrongs don't make a right, or I have to do a little something I disagree with in order to get the thing that I think will be helpful. Everybody has to make compromises in life. I'm not saying that that's not the case, but when you compromise principles instead of compromising, just some sort of contractual structure of some bill or something. But once you decide to compromise your principles, then it's all lost. And that's where I get fearful about people who are legislating that sort of thing, because I don't think it starts off with, as soon as I get elected, I'm just going to screw over everybody. It's, I want to do the right thing. And clearly the only way I can get any of this done is by playing ball over here and toting this, even though I'm really don't agree with it. But if I want to get my thing done, they're not going to help me out. And that's not a good ecosystem to, help to cultivate.
No, it's not. What my question is, you mentioned, and I'm looking here on TV about Nancy Guthrie. What, you want to dive into that a little bit?
It's a bit about that, but it's also, we talked about it yesterday when I was bringing up the things that catch our attention or get our focus, or the things that we care about, and why is that the case? Because we're still, like I brought up yesterday, we're still talking about JonBenet Ramsey, and that's
35 years ago.
30 when, yeah. And they make new. There was a new Netflix documentary that was at the top of the movies. Something about it grips you, and that's where you start to wonder what it is you're doing. And I'm not immune to this, so I'll start with a confession. Not because it's noble or it's something that I'm overly proud of. It's just because it's true. When the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial was going on, I got hooked. Not like I saw a clip hooked. I mean, I lost hours of work watching live courtroom footage, I was an attorney who was on retainer, and they were going to need me to tap in at some point and be like, all right, here's what we got, boys. So this isn't me talking down to anybody. This is if a story hits the right nerve within you, it starts to feel personal. It scratches the very human instinct for drama, for justice, for revenge. Because I dated a girl in my 20s who was Amber Heard adjacent in her actions. So to me, there was something that related to me in that way that did, without me even noticing, kind of hooked me into that sort of thing. And we start to distract ourselves with those sort of things because we've always been a nosy species. That's not new. What's new is the delivery system we have, because hundreds of years ago, people loved a good scandal as much as they do now. They just didn't have push notifications to go over it. And we got 2 minutes before we got to go to break on this, because this is something that I am going to wax poetic on, but poetic, maybe. I'll try to be poetic, but still make it not annoying. Because the issue is when something hits you personally, and a lot of times you don't notice it at the time or notice it in the moment, why it's registering so much. Again, the Nancy Guthrie situation, it could be that, your parents passed, or you missed that, or you've seen people go through things like that, and you can have the human emotion and empathy. But I guess when we get back from the break, I guess it's talking about why we prioritize high drama things in the public with low personal stakes to our actual lives. And we will get back to that after the break. Thank y'all for being in the middle of it. We'll see y'all just a few.
You got to serve something, ain't that right? I know it gets dark, but there's always a light.
This is Coach Tradaris Goff from Columbia Central High School football. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
We at Hollins Pharmacy must be doing something right. We've been providing pharmaceutical services in the Middle Tennessee area for over 60 years. The guiding principles of our business are fast, accurate, friendly, personal service. We do not have long waiting lines, and our phone calls are answered by a staff member. We strive to get to know our customers by name, not just a date of birth or number. We are your locally owned hometown pharmacy, and we appreciate your business. We urge you to come visit us at Hollins Pharmacy, 1608 Hatcher Lane here in Columbia.
Hey, this is Derek Ransom with 10 Pin Alley, voted #1 family entertainment center in Murray County. We offer 32 bowling lanes, giant arcade, laser tag, bumper cars, and a full cafe and bar menu. We also specialize in group events, kids and adult birthday parties, company parties, sports team parties, and holiday parties. We're located at 322 East James Campbell Boulevard in Columbia. Call us today at 931-381-BOWL or visit us at 10pin.com. 10 Pin Alley, it's where the good times roll.
In today's uncertain world, you can never be too careful about your family's financial future. That's why the Parker Group, a part of Baird's Private Wealth Management, is offering a free second opinion on your financial plans. Let us review your current plan, and we will identify any gaps and offer suggestions to improve it. Please call the Parker Group at 931-548-3737. That's 931-548-3737. Robert W. Baird & Company Incorporated does not offer tax or legal advice.
This is Mark Curry at the Trailer Store. We are a local, family-owned business. Every day, I work with my wife, Susie, my mother, Becky, and my son, Justin. We offer a full line of lawnmower trailers, utility trailers, stock trailers, and a full line of trailer parts. We also offer service. Come see us at 1021 New Lewisburg Highway. Call us at 931-381-2795. That's 931-381-2795.
Farmer Johnny here, Taylor Family Farm. I want to give y'all a little look-see. We raise 100% non-GMO, grass-fed beef, pasture chicken, and pork on our family farm. Everything that we grow is raised with love and care to ensure the highest quality and nutrition for our family and customers. You can shop online at TaylorFamilyFarmTN.com or visit our farm store in person at Etheridge, Tennessee at 301 Dave Reisner Road. That's TaylorFamilyFarmTN.com for more information.
Hi, I'm Kelly Dobson, owner of Caring Hearts Home Healthcare here in Columbia. For over 20 years, we've proudly served our community, locally owned and operated, providing trusted care you can count on. We support seniors, individuals with disabilities, and even short-term care after surgery. From personal care to homemaking and companionship, our team is here to help you or your loved one live safely and comfortably at home. Call Caring Hearts today at 931-381-5470 or stop by in person 1121 Trotwood Avenue here in Columbia.
Hello, I'm Rick Whitley.
And I'm Daniel Pollard from Jones & Lang Sporting Goods. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for the many years of support. Since 1966, Jones & Lang has been locally owned and operated and supplying teams from T-ball to college. Stop by and see what we can do for you. We offer a wide variety of services from silk screening and embroidery to our custom trophy and awards department.
We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and Saturday, 9 to noon. Remember, Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Hello, my name is Zach Maddox. I'm a proud third-generation owner-operator of Columbia Paint and Wallcover, founded by my grandfather, Ralph Maddox, in 1946. We offer a variety of paint and wallcovering products, but our passion is customer service. We can offer many personalized services and can come out to your house or business if needed. Come visit us at our Columbia location or our new Spring Hill location behind Church of the City, or visit us online at paintcolumbia.com.
This is Coach Devin Simler from Columbia Central Baseball. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
Welcome back to the middle of it with Jeb Hart. I'm Jeb Hart. I appreciate y'all being with me. I got Clayton with me today. How are you?
Doing well, Jeb, doing well.
I am glad to hear it. We caught the tail end. I was starting to go down the road on it. We can get into some of the details on it, but it was something that we touched on the other day that has always interested me as to why we care so much, why it dominates. It's leading news cycles all over, and I get in this case that, it is somebody who Savannah Guthrie is someone that's in people's homes every day, and you feel like you know them. There's like a famous story of Steve Harvey and Denzel Washington at some party, and Denzel like turned to Steve Harvey and said, "When these people come over here, look at how they treat you versus how they treat me." Because when they met Denzel, they were like, "Thank you. It's such a pleasure to meet you. I love your work. I'm such a big fan." With Steve Harvey, they were like, "Steve, how are you?" But whoa, because they felt like they knew him because he was in their home every day. They didn't have to go to a theater, buy popcorn, do the whole thing. That became an event. Like Steve Harvey became a presence, and that's how they felt. So I understand why people have some very real emotional connection to the Nancy Guthrie thing because they feel as though they know Savannah. But like the idea that, this is some new fascination isn't, really there. But kind of what I was ending on was like, we didn't have the push note. Like people were like glancing out windows and being like, "Ooh, Lady Braithwaite is showing some ankle," and then like gossiped and like there were gossip rags back in the day. I mean, the Bridgertons based basically entirely on that. So like we're not new to this. We just have a worldwide pipeline in our pocket with push notifications to give us a direct feed of other people's chaos, and it happens in real time. Like back in the day, they didn't have the ability to watch somebody melt down live in high definition with like, both commentary, replay, slow-mo, frame by frame. Like it was like a Tyson boxing match pay-per-view in the 90s. Like back then, if something big happened, you either heard about it later, if you heard about it at all. And like now you can experience it as it unfolds, like while you're waiting in line for like a Chick-fil-A sandwich, like on your phone, just be like, "Ooh, someone's going through it." And like once you notice that portion of yourself, you start to notice the pattern because like we get captivated by stories that have high drama but low personal consequence. Like a story can dominate the national mood without ever actually moving your real life 1 inch. And like meanwhile, the unglamorous and boring stuff that determines whether your community works, whether, you know, trash gets picked up, slides right past most people until it is way too big to hide. Like the Savannah Guthrie thing is just a highlighted version of that. And like she's a real human being and it's a real story and a real family and there's real fear and there is intrigue and confusion and ransom notes and septic tanks and conjecture and but whether it ends well and she is found and everything is okay or it ends terribly, your roads don't get fixed. Your kid's school doesn't get any better. Your property tax bill doesn't drop. Your city doesn't suddenly run smoother. It's a heart story, not a how your life works story. And yet we track it like it's some national referendum or we're trying to pass a new constitutional amendment. Like at the same time, there are stories that absolutely do touch your everyday life. Money getting wasted or stolen, services getting delivered or not, programs that pay fast and verify slow, like those sort of things, like they come with forms and meeting agendas, the audit reports, budget lines, bottom of the table, just numbers that just don't get the people going. That kind of material makes people's eyes glaze over in a second. And we don't have to have an information problem. We lean back on the attention problem because drama is easy to consume. It's hard to look away from. And process is hard to consume and really easy to put off until one day you look up and you realize that all of that stuff that seemed way too boring to talk about, it was pretty structural. It had a lot to do with the structural integrity of the system in which you live because a good drama story comes with a built-in emotions. It's got a face, it's got a clock, it's got resolution or at least a cliffhanger in some way or another where you get to speculate, and your brain loves that. I love that. We all watch shows that we love. We all get tuned in. I mean, the Night of the Seven Kingdoms has been an absolute banger for anyone not watching it, but it feels like you're participating without having to do any work. You don't have to know anything. You don't have to read anything. You don't have to be wrong in public. You just have to feel something. And the things that affect your life in a real and meaningful way do not come with that emotional tag. Oversight does not have a background soundtrack. Like procurement doesn't come with a next time in part 2. Like the audits don't trend unless it's a catastrophe. And that's why like a community can quietly get worse while everybody's staying informed, or at least they feel as though they are. We treat the news like it's entertainment with opinions attached, and it's packaged that way now. And once it's packaged that way, the mindset, like your whole mind starts taking shortcuts, and we start confusing this made me feel strongly with this must be important. Those two are not the same thing. And the problem with that confusion is that it is really good for ratings. It is terrible for your life, because a lot of the things that shape your life have zero drama until it is way too late. Your city's cash management, your state's payment verifications, your contracting rules. I mean, it gets highlighted now in the Minnesota stuff because it got to the end of the line and everyone was like, whoa, 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 whoa. That's a problem. When those problems were addressed all along, they were just boring. Nobody wants to read an Excel spreadsheet on the evening news, but all of it's consequential. And like, modern technology makes it worse because we don't just get the story. We get the story live. We get the notifications, live streams, breaking notifications, and then we get instant reactions, hot takes that go trending. And before the facts even have a chance to put their shoes on, opinions are there. So your brain never has to wait. There's always a new reason to look down and feel like you're in the loop. But the loop isn't knowledge. The loop is stimulation. And every minute you spend in that loop is a minute you're not spending on the things that are quietly or not quietly running or not running your life, your community, the areas around you. So the real question would be, why do we pour our hearts into stories that don't actually touch our lives and skip the ones that do? Because my assumption would be that the first category offers emotion with no responsibility. You can get outraged without having to do anything about it. You can be righteous without having to read a book about it. You can pick a side without having to ask, okay, does this mean anything for my kids' education, their public school? Does this change anything about the tax code? Who's it that, did I vote for the person that voted for this? Who oversees this? Where's the receipt for where all this happened? And look, you can care about human stories. You should have a heart. But don't let human stories become like an excuse to ignore the important things in your life. Governance is a real thing, and that either makes your community work or it breaks it. And it doesn't break with some confetti popper. It breaks slowly, quietly, until suddenly it's real loud and it's a real big problem. So, I think in situations like this, the suggestion would be if you enjoy the drama as much as you want, just don't confuse it with civics. Because every once in a while, you spend minutes on the dumb stuff or the things that you find unentertaining. It's not where the pizzazz is. It's not where the fireworks are, but it's where your life is. And spend a bit more time prioritizing that. There's a fun time for speculation. There's a fun time for, being able to weigh in and get your Nancy Grace on. But it doesn't actually change your life. And yeah, that's my piece on that.
No, I mean it's well said. I guess is the best way to put that. We live in a country where our attention spans it's getting worse. Did you get the article I sent over the weekend where this current generation is the first generation over 100 years that's dumber than the one before it?
I got it. I did not read it. I live it every day.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the research papers on the matter to have a bit, but that one is something I can kind of feel in the air. And it's not that I think that they're dumber because they have access to more facts. And I think because of the ability to have any answer you want in your pocket at any moment, at any time, we stop the critical thinking portion to even wonder if we're asking the right questions of the magic machine in our pocket. Because the right questions are the critical thinking questions. They're the not framed. If people are talking about like what's the population of Bolivia, you can find that out by just Googling it. But is voter ID technically racist, or is it? But and you can be like, what is it about this that you can frame the way you input information or the way information is given to you by not critically thinking ahead of time as to what you actually want to know. Because one of the biggest things in any business is once you can identify the problem or ask the right question, you're more than halfway there. But the vast majority of the time, people are asking the wrong questions about something and wasting time going down this really thoughtful narrative road about the problem they perceive to be the real problem when that's not it. And until you can actually put your finger on what it really is, you start to become wasteful and dumb. And I think we have a generation of people who are more informed than they are capable of taking in. They have the ability to be informed at any moment.
1 out of 10 chances, 10 being the most likely. We got 1 minute left before we go to the break to end the hour. But 1 out of 10, 10 being the most likely, 1 being the least likely. Chances that Nancy Guthrie is alive.
3.
I'm right there with you. I may even be lower than that.
I might be too, but
when they started searching the septic tank over the weekend, that was a little concerning.
I brought up the Nancy Grace thing just as like a throwaway, but she was on the news last night, and when you shake her out of the rafters to come in and speculate wildly, it's probably not going to end great for anybody involved, especially the viewing audience who had to look at her, she terrifies me. Her the eyeballs or the whole thing. We will get into that more when we get back. Thank you all for being in the middle of it, and we are in the middle of it. We're going to our second hour.
I'm Rich Thomason. Savannah Guthrie says she and her siblings are at an hour of desperation. 10 days and a couple of deadlines have passed, and the mother of the Today Show co-host is still missing. The status of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie is unknown as her family appeals to the public to come forward with any shred of information that might help law enforcement. Family members say they are willing to meet a ransom demand, but we know of no contact with the kidnappers. The Justice Department is allowing members of Congress to review unredacted files relating to the activities of the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
In a letter to lawmakers, the DOJ said members will have access to the more than 3 million files released by the department. To access the files, lawmakers will need to give the administration 24 hours notice, and they will be able to review the files on computers at the Department of Justice. Only lawmakers, not their staff, will have access to the files. President Trump wants to move on from the issue, but many questions remain about Epstein and his connections. Greg Clugston, Washington.
All is far from well, and conditions are worsening in communist Cuba, where authorities warn airlines they may not be able to refuel on the island.
This is part of energy rationing as the Trump administration cuts Cuba off from its fuel sources. The shortage stems from U.S. political pressures severing Cuba's access to oil from Venezuela and Mexico. Shorter flights may not be affected, but long-haul routes face challenges. The energy crisis has led to reduced bank hours, suspended cultural events, and halted public transport. U.S. sanctions have long impacted Cuba, but recent measures have intensified the situation. Keith Peters, Washington.
The Dow rising further into record territory. The blue chip index is up 227 points, and the NASDAQ ahead 18. Townhall.com.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. A lot of us are thinking about taxes, home projects we've been putting off, ways to get ahead financially in 2026. Now's the perfect time to talk to my friends at Fellowship Home Loans. If you want to lower your mortgage payment, they can help you refinance. If you need access to cash for home improvements or to wipe out high-interest debt, their fixed-rate line of credit is one of the best tools out there. Fast approval, predictable rate, and flexibility to use your home's equity wisely. Remember, many people still qualify to skip their next 2 mortgage payments. Imagine starting big projects or paying down debt with 2 months of breathing room. My family and I have used Fellowship personally. I trust these guys. Take control of 2026. Go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE. That's 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, equal housing lender, NMLS number 819382.
President Trump is threatening to block the opening of a multi-billion-dollar bridge linking Canada and the United States. Mr. Trump suggests the U.S. should assume ownership of half of the span.
In a lengthy social media post, Mr. Trump accused Canada of taking advantage of America. The bridge, which will connect Ontario and Michigan, has been entirely funded by the Canadian government. But Mr. Trump said he wouldn't allow it to open until, in his words, the U.S. had been fully compensated for everything Washington had given to Canada. It isn't clear what that means. The president criticized a range of Canadian trading practices as well as Prime Minister Mark Carney's recent trip to Beijing. Mr. Trump again warned him against finalizing a trade deal with China.
That's a BBC's Gabrielle Sangaleta. Iranian security official Ali Laranjani is traveling to Oman, the country currently mediating talks between Tehran and the U.S. over Iran's nuclear program. Townhall.com. Charges have been filed in the death of a Massachusetts police recruit.
A supervisor and 3 instructors with a Massachusetts State Police Tactical Unit have been indicted in connection with the death of a recruit following a boxing match during training. Enrique Delgado Garcia died at a hospital in 2024 after becoming unresponsive during a defensive tactics exercise. The charges include causing serious bodily injury and involuntary manslaughter. Delgado Garcia was 25 years old. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
16-year-old student was shot and wounded in a high school in the Washington suburb of Rockville, Maryland. The victim, last described as being hospitalized in stable condition. A suspect, another student, is in custody. Police in Rockville say they're still searching for the gun used in the attack, and investigators say the motive remains unclear. More on these stories, townhall.com.
No one wants to deal with a plumbing, electrical, or HVAC emergency. It's even worse when you're not sure what it'll cost, when it'll get fixed, or if someone's just selling you something. When you call Hiller, you can trust our experts to actually solve your home's problems quickly. And with true transparency pricing, you know the price you're told is the price you'll actually pay. Book online now at happyhiller.com. Happy you'll be, or the service is free.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
I fall off my chair, and I'm wondering how I'll get down the stairs. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right.
Welcome back to the middle of it. I'm Jeb Hart. I'm happy to be with you. I'm also happy to be joined in this second hour by my buddy Drake Pugh, who's tagging in. How are you?
Doing good, Jeb. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. Well, like I said before, my son got me up at 4 in the morning, and I can't go back to bed after I get woken up.
God.
So, I'm dealing with that, but making my way through as best I can, trying to, taking the news of the day, wax poetic, and discuss things worth discussing. What's anything on your mind?
Well,
you want to?
Nothing much new. I can tell you what, we've been busy with the, as you know, we're always busy with the sports network. And last night we had an interesting matchup at Mount Pleasant High School between Culleoka High School and Mount Pleasant High School. The Culleoka girls took home the gold, and the Mount Pleasant boys took home the gold.
Is the gold in this instance for like a tournament, or is it they won the?
No, that's just what I'm. That's just what I'm saying.
Okay.
They won the game. That's just the phrase I'm using right here. Probably could use a better one, but that's just what I'm saying.
Well, when it comes to like baseball, like youth baseball and stuff, there's like the World Series, but there's like 9,000 of them.
Yeah.
And like, so like I want a bit of a distinction as to what it is we're discussing. So I mean they won, and did that? Were both of them highly ranked? I don't know anything about.
Not really. Culleoka definitely is not. The Culleoka boys have not had a good season. It's been a rough season for them, and but the Culleoka girls have been doing okay. My mother actually played for Culleoka for the. They're the Warriors now. They were the Blue Devils back when she played for them in the 80s, and she told me that up until her senior year the team was great. Her senior year they were not really good, unfortunately.
So was it something that was always like? I mean, those things were like teams are like historically good, because like Tennessee, I grew up in Atlanta, and in Atlanta we did not have private school versus public school like distinctions.
Well, and we don't, in Murray County, there's not a whole lot of private and public schools playing each other from what I've noticed. Like last night, both Mount Pleasant and Culleoka are both Murray County public schools. And they play obviously schools in different counties in the state. But last night it was two of our county schools against each other. The difference between the two is Mount Pleasant is a regular big school that's 9 through 12, and Culleoka is a unit school that's K through 12, which unit schools are definitely becoming a thing of the past.
Interesting. I didn't know that it was something that was fading out.
Yeah, well, at least in this area. I mean, back in the old days, most of the schools in this area were unit schools. There's a Bethesda Elementary, for example, in Williamson County, where my dad went to school. That was a unit school back when my grandfather went there. And, I mean, it's not anymore. There is no Bethesda Middle or High anymore. It's just
interesting.
Things change as time goes by. It's just something I've noticed.
That is one of the key factors with the passage of time.
Yep.
Is that things do in fact change.
Nothing stays the same. The only thing in my life that has stayed consistent is the unchanging word of God. That is it. That is the only thing that has remained persistent. That's the only thing that doesn't change. At least that's the only thing I've never seen change.
It's if you have a pillar in that regard, it is a helpful, mile marker on the compass of where you're going with your life. Mm-hmm. It's always helpful. I mean, there's a few other things that came out in the news worth discussing. I mean, we went over some of the Epstein stuff earlier. We don't need to relitigate that, but I think Alabama just did something interesting. It sounds relatively simple, but like it does kind of re-highlight and touch kind of the nerve of where we're talking about with the SAVE Act. They removed it was something like 3,000 non-U.S. citizens from their voter rolls, and it should be a relatively uncomplicated sentence.
That's a little fishy there.
And it was 3,000 across counties. What they have, I think, is 186 non-citizens that were registered and did vote that they removed, and it's a lot more than that. uh, across the others are kind of just getting to it now. And like, even if like people will claim that it is not a pervasive thing or it's not an issue or it's not a problem because they haven't investigated it that much. And when it gets flared up, the numbers aren't that high. A singular non-citizen voting, that is a problem, not because it swings every election, but because it shouldn't happen at all.
Yeah.
Like you have one job as with elections. If you're an election commission, running it, the state, county, whatever it may be, make sure that legal votes count, they are tabulated correctly, and that only people who are supposed to be voting voted. It's not partisan. That's just kind of basic maintenance. So like, and it gets messier. Like the argument isn't just, it's never just should non-citizens vote? The argument is like, how do you verify it? How do you clean the rolls? Who gets caught in the net? How? Like if when a database is wrong or a process is rushed, and like Alabama's a red state, so you would think that they would be for the people who are against this, they would be the ones who would have like a microscope on this sort of stuff, and yet they fall victim to the same version of it. And the federal law and I believe the National Voter Registration Act, they have something called a quiet period rule.
Yeah.
And that limits large scale like roll purges anywhere close to a federal election. So yeah, like you can have the idea that yes, non-citizens should not be registered to vote, period. Cool. Everyone kind of agrees to that. Some people downplay the severity, but you got to be careful that you don't flag legal citizens for some government system that has like a really bad data problem. Like if you look at so many of the systems, I mean, like the only like real meaningful impact of the Doge involvement in the government that has actually affected my day-to-day life was they went in and changed the website for the IRS to where it actually had a login button on the top right.
Yeah.
Where it is on every single other website in existence. But for whatever reason, for like 10 years, the login button was like 4 scrolls down. So like those things where you have like dirty data, bad systems, and then they just grow to scale to where trying not to fix them becomes almost reflexive in the way that you're trying to not have to, look in the mirror at like, oh, we got ourselves in this mess. Like it's a competence issue.
Yeah.
And like this shouldn't require like heroics. It should be pretty routine, just clean lists, clean rules. And if a state can verify non-citizen status reliably and remove those who are ineligible, it's just basic election hygiene. And if a state can't do it without actually like booting legal voters, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
It's not some like gotcha problem. Like what Alabama is saying they used here, the SAY program, the USCIS, I believe. I don't know if it's supposed to be pronounced with like as an acronym or I'm supposed to say the letters, but it's a federal database verification. Like on paper, it just sounds like a responsible approach. Like just don't guess, just try and verify. And the pushback nationally has been databases can be wrong. And if you build a process that treats a maybe like a guilty, then you will hit the wrong people, especially naturalized citizens who, by definition used to be non-citizens. If you're a naturalized citizen who did everything the right way, the oath, the paperwork, the waiting, you shouldn't have to pay to prove you're an American because it shouldn't be on you to prove that because this bureaucracy has some sort of glitch. But like you have to be able to say that this is more of a pervasive issue than the detractors of it would care to admit. The systems are flawed. The checks are infrequent, if even required at all. And that's where you start to wonder as to whether or not having the people who don't want to have the conversation is where the questions start to get flared up, because trying to just pretend something that shouldn't happen ever happens a couple thousand times is not that big of a deal, is especially when you can start to understand exactly even how that verification check happens. You realize how infrequently those numbers are cross-referenced, those names rather are cross-referenced, how rarely that actually is checked. Only when something really gets flagged do they do some sort of run. I mean, in the language in most laws, like Tennessee, for example, the rule is make best efforts.
Yeah.
That means almost nothing. Like, I don't know what, like, legislatively you could even say best efforts means, or like if you didn't try that hard. Like, seems like an almost nothing statement, because you'd be like, well, I tried really hard. And sometimes people make the mistake of, they mistake effort for success.
Yeah.
And it's not to say don't try, but never confuse the two.
Yeah.
Because they are very different things. And so when people go down that road of just trying to diminish a real problem, you start to get division. Because one side, and I think it's from the right side, I think they're probably making it a much bigger deal than it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
However, the people on the other side diminishing it as though it's nothing is equally divisive, by trying to look you in the eye and say a problem that is real isn't a problem at all.
Yeah.
And you don't get to tell people what they're feeling or what they believe, especially if you're trying to garner trust. Like, if you walked in on your wife cheating on you and she told you, no, that's not what you saw. Your eyes mistook you. That was not at all what this looks like. And you're like, I'm really, really sure of what it looked like, and I felt that way, and that matters to me.
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, gaslighting is not okay. I mean, that's just, and I've known people who were gaslighted by people in their own family their whole lives.
And it happens a lot more. I know. I mean,
it really does. It happens a lot more than you think.
Because a lot of times, even if you're like the person doing it, you're not. A lot of times folks don't do it from a position of trying to be manipulative. They're trying to just get out of a situation.
Yep. They don't even realize they're doing it.
This escape accountability, or,
yep.
I mean, like when I was in high school, I smoked cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I was cool. And yeah, it was awesome. And then my parents would be like, your car smells like cigarettes. And I'd be like, you have lost your mind. I don't know why.
You're getting old. You've lost your mind.
I mean, you're losing it, guys. You're just, I don't know. I mean, now you're just accusing me, and that seems like you're just jumping on me for no reason. Like, it smells like a Waffle House. And this is back when you were allowed to smoke in Waffle Houses, which, even as a side note,
the
fact that they had a smoking and non-smoking section in a restaurant the size of a shoebox with no ventilation
is
was
insane.
Because the smoking section and the non-smoking section were the same section in any other place.
Like, I love Waffle House. The food's great, but the experience is better. Because I've gone to Waffle House before and had servers that were high off their rear end before.
Well, I mean,
it's just part of the experience.
Part of the deal.
It's part of the deal with that kind of stuff, and then it's just
It's my favorite. I mean, I have the thing behind me here. It's part of one of my many stuff that my wife did not allow me to put elsewhere. I don't know why she doesn't want a Caddyshack oil painting, but, or my Waffle House matchbook. But it's her. It's she decides the aesthetic of the home. So my items have been regulated to here. But I do love, like, Waffle House is.
It's amazing. I love Waffle House.
A cultural just touch point of I mean, I've seen fist fights, people get arrested, and nobody, if you weren't involved, you finish your
eggs.
It's none of your business.
Yeah.
It is the southern version of the Continental from John Wick, and like no business is done there. You can fist fight, sure. Nobody pulls out a gun. You fist fight, handle your business, and if you have the audacity to try to fight a Waffle House night shift employee, then you deserve whatever happens next.
Yeah.
Like that's I mean there was the thing that was going around on TikTok a while ago, which I don't have. I get it several weeks later once it trickles its way down to Instagram like an adult. Um, about like 100 Americans versus 100 Brits, no weapons in the room, who wins? And so it was like, dude, just I'll let y'all pick it. Just drive around to any Waffle House. It could be a lady who's 72 years old named Debbie. But if she's working the night shift, tag her in.
Yeah.
Just go, like, you pick any Waffle House. I mean, they did something the other day where somebody put a really negative review. I don't know if it was on Yelp or Instacart or something about like the staff was rude or something, and Waffle House responded, "We appreciate the criticism. However, we do appreciate it being handed to us in person. Please show up. Any Waffle House will do, and let them know, and we will handle this complaint in person. And we trust our employees to handle it.
Oh yeah,
how they deem fit." And yes, he did not respond.
That's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. It's part of the experience. Every Friday morning after Inside Middle Tennessee here at the station, after we do that show, usually Landon, Seacrest, and I, and sometimes along with my girlfriend, we go over to one of the Waffle Houses here in Columbia and have breakfast.
It is my favorite. It's my favorite restaurant in the entire world. This is an overly, pressing current event topic or something that's getting the people going. But I do know that the vast majority of people listening are super on board with that. And it is one of those things that when people talk down about it, like, I'm allowed to complain about the Waffle House and have the fact that its floor is always slippery.
Yeah.
And I'm allowed to talk about the fact they don't bring things on one plate instead of 12 plates in a tiny table. I can complain about that, but when you come from outside of it and it ain't your thing, you're not like it's one of those, like, someone beating up your brother or like bullying them.
Exactly, it is. And like, personally with the plates, for me, like, I've always preferred having my bacon on a separate plate than my waffles because I don't want my syrup getting on everything.
That checks out. But if somebody else, like, you're allowed to hit your brother or make fun of them or do that. But if somebody else does,
then it's a problem.
Yeah,
I agree. You can, your brothers and you can bully each other all you want. As soon as somebody outside comes in, that's when it's game on after that.
Yeah, it ain't their place to be stepping in on that. That's your job, and that's where I guess the part of it that makes it that sort of ownership is that when people do talk bad about it, you do feel some. Even though it's just a southern chain based out of Atlanta from a while, there is some weird sense of ownership behind it. Like, there's some cultural, like, touchstone that exists around it that makes there's a sense of pride and ownership that I don't think Chick-fil-A might kind of have that a bit with its customer base, but for the most part, I can't think of really any other place that has that sort of, like, any chain of any kind that has that sort of, like, cultural loyalty to where you're like, how dare you?
Yeah.
I mean, people in Cincinnati talk about Skyline chili and stuff like that. If you've ever had it,
I've never had Skyline chili.
Don't worry about it. It is sometimes it's chili with spaghetti and it is.
Oh my gosh!
It is a wild thing that exists at the scale to become a cultural thing. Like, there are local delicacies in a lot of places that I'm like, all right, I get.
Yeah, like here in Columbia, we've got I don't know if you've been to it. We've got Jumbo House here in Columbia.
What's the staple? I cannot say that I have. I know that
it's an old burger place. It's built like a Sonic, kind of like an old drive-in. I think it kind of was a drive-in at one time. It still kind of is. I mean, but It's got an inside too, but yeah, it's just an old hamburger place.
Well, I mean, those are the places that, if they stick around. I mean, if you've been around for 50 years, 60 years, you're doing something right.
Well, and that's
then,
something a buddy of mine and I were talking about last night. We were catching up is how mom and pop restaurants are usually 100 times better than chain restaurants.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because the mom and pop places they use their own, like a lot of times their own ingredients, and the food they make is real. I mean, it's just it's great stuff. When unfortunately a lot of chain restaurants, especially fast food, in the recent years their quality is going down the toilet, and their prices are just getting jacked higher and higher and higher up.
well, if you look at like a mom and pop restaurant in a community, especially something like Columbia or Chattanooga or Jackson, Tennessee, or it goes not some giant metropolis where millions of people are there.
Yeah.
You put the bricks and the mortar down, you establish yourself there, and you are defined by the reputation and the word of mouth of people who go there, repeat there, because you don't have it's not a food truck where you can just pick up and go to like a new place.
Yeah.
If you screw people over or don't provide good quality. But at all of the national chain restaurants, the vast majority of them, if you actually look at the way their business model works, a lot of them are borderline real estate companies that happen to sell food, or like leasing agencies that they moonlight as food distribution centers.
Yeah.
Because that's how they made their money. So they're not as nearly tied into their reputation in a local area. So most of the great places, the ones that you love, are the ones who their reputation is tied directly to how well they actually do their job. Because the person who's working at the McDonald's is not really they're not like protecting the shield of like the NFL where you have to like stand in front of it and be like, no, we have to stand up for that. They're working there. It's a job. If you're working at your family's restaurant that's been around for 70 years, it's not a job.
No, it's
a
livelihood.
Your legacy.
Yeah, it's a legacy. It's your livelihood. It's a big deal.
And that's where it becomes different. That's why things like that are normally so much better. I mean, like Rendezvous in Memphis has been around for like 3-4 generations of the Vargos family, and I mean that's another contentious issue about they're my favorite ribs in Memphis. Not my favorite full-on barbecue because there's better chicken at Cozy Corner or Central, but I love the Memphis dry rub Rendezvous ribs are the top shelf on my end of it. But when you have those things that are just generationally passed down, and it's like a family crest or like some lineage that you carry with you. And I think that those are things that stand the test of time, and we push past them a little bit and kind of forget about things like that when like a Whataburger shows up. There's one that just came into Chattanooga recently.
There's one that's about to open in Columbia. And I will I'll give Whataburger some credit, though. That is one of the only fast food places I still enjoy eating at.
It is good.
It's so good. I mean, that's one of my favorite places. I mean, the first time I ever had Whataburger was when I was, when I was a sophomore in college. So, I mean, like I said, there's one that's about to open in Columbia, and one that's about to open in Cool Springs near Franklin. So the nearest one to where I lived when I was growing, like when I was in high school or anything like that, was in like Alabama.
The one I would go to was in Florida. And I remember, I don't know if I've ever felt like sorrier for a group of employees. And we like touched on Waffle House, and I've seen I've seen the fist fights. I've never felt worse for a group of employees at a restaurant than I did at the Whataburger at 4:30 in the morning in Panama City Beach. Oh, it was Destin. There's maybe Sandestin, right on 98 at 4:30 in the morning after the college spring break thing had kind of dissipated.
God. Yeah.
And it was, I mean, it looked like people just took napkins and hurled them like confetti, or like drinks were spilled, and like they had a great attitude about it. But like I walked in there because they're open 24 hours a day, and you can get breakfast. And like we were staying across the road, so I walked over. I wanted to like pick up a broom and help out.
Oh yeah,
because like it was an absolute mess. They do a good job, but people.
Yeah.
But when you have those places that come in that you do get excited about, and like does Nashville have an In-N-Out burger now?
As a matter of fact, yes. Well, I don't know if Nashville itself does not. Lebanon does, Antioch does, Murfreesboro does, and Franklin is actually about to have one. And the one in Franklin is actually right in front of my parents' neighborhood. It has looked finished for the last 2 months and still has not opened. I don't know why.
I mean, they do rollouts. Interestingly,
they do
in that because they're not franchised; they're privately owned and centrally ran. So they kind of they don't have to adhere to these like strict timelines that franchisees
and
who are like.
That's okay. That's okay that they do that. That's a good thing. I do wish they'd let us know like a timeline when they're going to open. That way we know. But another kind of gem I think about often that is, a lot of people don't know about it is Cookout.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Cookout is cheap and it has a gigantic menu.
It does. It's cheap, has a gigantic menu, and their food quality is pretty darn good.
I don't like their burgers that much. The bread to meat ratio don't love, but
yeah,
I do like everything else.
Yeah, I love their Cajun fries. They got the cheeseburger quesadillas, stuff like that.
Those are good. I have there's two like food takes that I will die on the hill of. Steak fries are absolute trash.
Yeah, I agree.
Are.
There's like the only place I enjoy eating those are at Red Robin, and that's it.
Well, they have to you have to like request them because basically they are all of the unhealthy parts of a fry.
They really are.
With the bland tastelessness of a baked potato.
Yep.
So like, what are we doing here? Yeah. I'm just choosing to be unhealthy without the benefit. Like if I'm gonna have a fry, it needs to earn its keep.
Like it needs to be well seasoned and taste good.
Yes, crispy, that whole thing.
Yeah.
That, and also like if you're selling me a burger, Red Robin is one of them. Huey's in Memphis is one of them. I do not want a meatloaf size patty in the middle.
No, I don't either. I feel the same way.
I mean, like something like just a standard smash burger, Shake Shack type thing, where you get a few of them. We have the same amount of meat in there, but it is layered in a way to where
it's a good proportion because where you don't run out of bun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that drives me crazy when I run. I feel the same way as you, Jeb. When I run out of bun, it drives me crazy.
I just don't want to eat a meatloaf.
No, I don't either. I don't want to eat a meatloaf either. I just want a darn hamburger.
and it ends up tasting dry. Yep. It's almost impossible to do correctly. I've had a few that have been done really well, and when they are done well, they are beyond excellent. But it is the consistency and the ability to stick that landing is tough. But I do know we are at the half hour now.
Yes, we are.
And we will circle back and discuss more of the accoutrement of food and burgers and the hot hitting issues of the day.
Yes, we will.
The stuff that the people need to hear about.
Yep.
I can tell you about my food allergies, or I mean, we can go through a medical chart.
Yeah, we can do that.
See y'all in a few.
This is Coach Tredaris Goff from Columbia Central High School football. You are listening to 101.7 WKOM in Columbia, Tennessee.
Hi, I'm Robert Rogers at Parks Motor Sales Buick GMC.
And I'm Michael Parks Lawrence at Parks Motor Sales Buick GMC.
Together, we're Mr. Bobby Parks' grandsons, and we run his dealership, and we are glad to be part of our local community.
Being family-owned and operated, we invest heavily in our community.
We do things like sports teams, schools, bands, you name it. We try to help everybody we can.
The reason why we do this is because we all love this community.
So come do business with us, your neighbors, at Parks Motor Sales in Columbia, Tennessee, right off Nashville Highway, or at parksmotorsales.com.
Let's talk custom design jewelry. Did you know Tillis Jewelry in downtown Columbia creates custom design jewelry and has been for over 30 years? From one-of-a-kind engagement rings to wedding bands and so much more. We want each piece to be as unique as you are and create a family heirloom for tomorrow. Call today and make an appointment with one of our designers. And just for calling, you will receive a free 30-minute consultation. Tillis Jewelry, creating custom jewelry proudly in Tennessee.
Hi, Jimmy here for Columbia Ace Hardware. Columbia Ace Hardware now carries Magnolia Home by Joanna Gaines paint. Now their premium quality and huge selection of colors will be right in your neighborhood. Along with the award-winning service and advice Columbia Ace has always provided for your paint projects. Around the block, what you need in stock, with people who know their paint. Columbia Ace, the helpful place.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Do you have trees that need trimming or removed? Do you have stumps that you want grounded? A1 Tree Trimming and Removal is a family-owned and operated business local to Columbia and Lewisburg. They also service surrounding Middle Tennessee. We are licensed and insured and provide free estimates. No job is too big, no tree is too small. Give old Luke a call or text Luke at 931-359-3113. Or you can check them out on Facebook and tell A1 Tree Removal that you heard this ad on the radio. If you love America, then you will love A1 Tree Removal.
You're not just a homeowner, you're also an ice maker that didn't read the job description owner. Fortunately, you've got heating and cooling built and tested to keep going. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, built to a higher standard.
Call Davis Heating and Cooling at 931-388-2090 for all your home comfort needs. Davis Heating and Cooling is your local independent American Standard dealer and proudly serves the Murray County area. Find Davis Heating and Cooling online and on Facebook or call today, 388-2090.
Hey, this is Seth Moss at Tennessee Valley Equipment, a premier FAE PrimeTech, Bandit, and Surex dealer. We are your dealer for all of your land clearing and forestry mulching needs. We sell equipment, provide repair service, and parts along with a rental fleet of mulching equipment. We also offer mulching teeth, blades, and sharpening. Our number one priority is getting you up and running as quickly and affordable as possible. Tennessee Valley is located at 300 Santa Fe Pike in wonderful Columbia, Tennessee. Stop by or give us a call today at 931-981-9812.
This is Debbie Matthews with the Nashville Realty Group, and if you've been paying attention, you know the housing market has been tough, but rates are beginning to thaw. So if you're thinking about selling, the time to jump in is getting better every day. But if you're thinking about buying, and those interest rates are still a little bit too high, a good agent knows how to negotiate interest rate buydowns. And I'm a good agent, so call me, Debbie Matthews with Nashville Realty Group, 615-476-3224.
This is Hal Landers, owner of Landers Insurance Agency. We are an independent agency representing the famous Erie Insurance Group. Landers Insurance Agency has been committed to providing great rates and great service since 2002. Whether it's home and auto or business or life insurance, we've got you covered. 24/7 in-house claim service, we've got that too. Visit Landers Insurance at 514 North Garden Street, Columbia. Call us at 931-380-2003. Our website is landersinsuranceagency.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
This is Trip Stoltz with Columbia Ace Hardware. I love listening to 101.7 WKOM FM, Columbia, Tennessee.
This is David Usselton with Usselton Automotive, located in Columbia, Tennessee. We service all foreign and domestic vehicles. We take pride in our work, and we don't cut corners. We offer a 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty and loan our cars with almost every repair. We are located at 1201 South High Street in Columbia, Tennessee. You can reach us at 931-215-1765 or find more information at usseltons.com.
He shoots. He scores. Do you love money? Who doesn't? I'm Thomas Burns with Workout Anytime 24/7 in Franklin and Columbia. Let's scan a QR code today. Let's get you into a drawing for $25,000 and 2 free tickets to a Nashville Predators game. Don't miss out on free money. Let's get those cameras out and scan today. Again, scan that QR code at 125 Bear Creek Pike in Columbia, Tennessee. Let's get you slap shot ready.
Take a slap shot, wrist shot, dangle, hit, hat trick.
Some people are just obsessed with their lawns. They'd cut their grass with a pair of scissors if they could. Thanks to Gravely, they don't have to. You see, Gravely makes not only the best built and most comfortable lawnmowers, they also leave your house looking like a doggone country club. So whether you're a commercial landscaper wanting the best or just a perfectionist homeowner, You can't do better than a Gravely.
See our full line of Gravely products at Murray County Equipment, 1075 North James Campbell Boulevard in Columbia, Tennessee, or check us out on Facebook.
Are you thinking about a new fence? Maybe you need a pole barn? Then you should give Sands Fence Company a call. That's 931-309-1644. Will Sands has built his business based on the principles of honesty, quality, and integrity. Sands Fence Company has been in business for over 20 years, providing their community with farm, residential, and commercial fencing, as well as pole barns and buildings. Call today for a free estimate. Sands Fence Company, 931-309-1644. That's 931-309-1644.
Did you do? Did you think?
Welcome back. This is our final segment of In the Middle of It with Jeb Hart. I'm Jeb Hart. I'm glad y'all are joining me here. I got Drake Pugh with me today for the second hour. How are you?
I'm good, Jeb. Glad to be here.
All right. We got went over a wide swath of items. I would like to talk about. I have not really gotten into it yet. The timing of it is actually kind of in the middle of when we do in the middle of it, but the Winter Olympics and the fascination I have with like any sport that you watch, it really, really matters whether or not you have a rooting interest. It doesn't, because I do not care about curling at all. And then the U.S. gets in there, and I'm like, oh, come on, Rodney. You can't throw a blocker that early in the set. Like, you start to get, like, really involved in things because the rooting interest is there. And that's kind of the root of, like, doesn't necessarily even have to be the sport. It just has to be the buy-in that you yourself have for the thing. Like, I don't watch hockey. We were talking about that a bit ago. Like, I respect it. I just watching it's the whole thing. But I mean, I remember watching the USA Canada game that we lost with Crosby scoring and all that. Like, you get into it, and I don't know anything about figure skating, but I do know that one dude was doing backflips and like a quadruple axel or something that was awesome. And he just kind of dressed up like Vecna from Stranger Things. Like, you start to care about things that you normally wouldn't, or just it would not cross your mind. And people start to have strong opinions on things that they really, and I consider myself absolutely one of them. I started to have very strong opinions about things that when it comes to like the Winter Olympics or the Summer Olympics or that I have absolutely no idea about.
Yeah.
I do not have any basis or grounding to have an opinion on that, but I'm like, oh, they got screwed there. That Russian judge. I mean, how do you put that at a 7.2? That is clearly, and I don't even know how the judging system works, but I have strong opinions on it, which is kind of just the human nature of it all, which is what kind of makes it fun. So it makes it all of us involved in it is that you get to care about something that you don't actually have any reason to, but the feeling of caring is always kind of the thing that motivates so much of those. I mean, sport in general, but so many other aspects of life are just motivated by the fact that you decided to super care, sometimes for the good, sometimes for bad. And in this case, I think it's kind of like the most menial version. It's caring without, like, the stakes aren't there. You can care if we beat Canada in curling, but if we lose, it's not going to ruin your life. And you kind of can overdo it, and myself included. Like when Ole Miss lost in the college football playoff, that did ruin a week or two.
Yeah,
like it threw it off. I want the U.S. to win, but it's also not going to completely, derail the entirety of my week and have an effect on my family and my interpersonal relationships. So I think it is a nice way to look in the mirror and be like, all right, maybe I need to take a step back on the Ole Miss Rebel Bear Sharks and the way that it affects me from a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
but also I kind of don't want to. Like, there's a beauty in caring about things that you don't have an effect over. Like that weird, there's like just a submission to the unknown and of being like, I can go to the game and cheer, but if I'm watching it from the couch, not a single thing that I'm doing has a modicum of an effect on the outcome, but you feel it, and people care about feeling. People care about, you know, feeling involved, and your emotion can be that. And I think that there's something in that feeling of like lose, because I've had teams that like that I've really cared about that have been trash forever. And I've had teams that I've cared about that were not great and then got really, really, really good. And when they got really good, it stopped being as enjoyable
Yeah.
because it stopped being about enjoying winning and it became about being terrified of losing. And those emotions are very different. And I, it's one because when you're losing all the time, all you want to do is win. And then when you win all the time, you stop being appreciative of winning and you start just being terrified of losing. And it's not nearly as fun of a viewing experience in my personal experience. I mean, as a Tennessee fan, I know like you got like there's been years when the basketball team recently has been like really good. The wins are nice, but they are kind of overshadowed by like the potential doom of a loss to like Western Kentucky that's like that could be out there. And it stops making the thing as fun as it could be because you're viewing it through a different lens. And like, if the whole point is to enjoy it, you should enjoy the wins and try to flip it. Because like when Tennessee was great, like, I mean Bruce Pearl and I mean they've been good in the past. You know, I mean they've been. Well, what's the furthest they've been in the past like 10 years in the tournament?
That's a good question because I hadn't kept up with them either.
Well, I mean, I know that they got as far as, I mean, I know they were ranked like number 1 or 2
Yeah.
in the seeding several times. And like back in like the same thing with like the John Calipari days at Memphis, it was my parents went, so it was the team that I watched,
Yeah.
At that time. And going to like an Elite Eight was kind of expected. And so it just became more nerve-wracking than it became enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I brought this up to friends of mine who are like Bama fans, and like I would love to like Clayton's thoughts on it like during the the Saban years, just because you go into it because being an Ole Miss fan, especially like going from Ed Ogeron to Houston Nutt to Freeze was scumbag, but we did all right when we were getting away with cheating a little bit. But we entered it being like, this is going to probably not go great. We'll take the wins where we get them.
Yeah.
If you're like people who are Bama fans during the Saban years, like if you don't win a national title, it's a wasted year.
Yep.
Like that's a mentality that I never have had from like a viewing side of things, because it's just, I mean, I guess when I was little as a Braves fan, but we never won. We just always made the playoffs. And I just thought that I didn't know the playoffs you had to qualify for. I thought that was just a thing that everybody got to do.
Yeah.
Because we did it for 14 straight years when I was a little kid. And just, that's kind of what I grew up in. So like, I don't think that that's a fun motivation. Well, not fun motivation. It's such a different, like we're all watching the same sport, but looking at it through 2 completely different lenses of what's like an enjoyable way to go about it. And I mean, so basically that is my monologue on why I now care about curling for the
Yeah.
next week or two because I have a rooting interest in zero knowledge.
I understand that.
And that's, I mean, I hope that people can enjoy it. I mean, the timeline, this one's not so bad. I mean, the one, we had Olympics that were, the one in Beijing that went on at like 4 in the morning. This one's not that terrible of a timeline, but it does, intersect a bit. And I also don't know, like I have Peacock TV, and so they have all this stuff on there. So I don't know what's actually live or what's not. It doesn't have that like appointment television stuff. Like I remember the Michael Phelps ones did where like, I mean, I remember where I was when they won that relay and Ledecky. I don't know if you were old enough to remember this.
I don't remember it now.
It was a 4-man relay, and it was for Michael Phelps to get like the record gold medal, and they were like he had done his thing, and some guy who was not that well known like came back from like pretty far back in swimming terms and like touched the wall with like an eighth of a millisecond. It was just right there.
Right there.
To get the whole thing over. And I remember I was at my buddy James Lee Ford's place in Florida, and we were all watching it like it was the most important thing in the world. And it was just people at a pool. And it's impressive, and they worked awesome for it. But like the idea of saying that like our dude has more gold medals than anybody else, or more countries, or more, and then he gets the sponsorship deals, but a lot of them like work at Home Depot.
Yeah.
Which is wild, but also kind of cool. Because like back in the day, we think about dudes like Yogi Berra and all that. Like some of them like worked at hardware stores.
Yeah.
Like they played baseball or football or whatever, but like that was not gonna put a roof over a whole family's head. So like they're doing construction or doing all of like they just would find it fascinating, just like to walk in to some hardware store trying to figure out if it's the right size bolt, and having Mickey Mantle be like, I think you actually need a 5/8 right there. And that was back when they probably had more publicity about their accomplishments, not their personal lives. So like they were huge deals, like boxers were a giant deal, and they were like baseball players, especially back then. And I think we're talking about reframing the way we look at sports, I guess, is that like the commoditization of it, both, I mean, the highlight version of that would be the NIL stuff that we're all talking about, because we're kind of finally acknowledging something that we all recognized was real, was that people are getting paid. A lot of people are getting paid. We're getting paid on the table, but obviously the schools are getting paid by networks and broadcasts, and it's a gigantic market, and so we have to look at it differently. And now that NIL's there, it's reframed, and so like sports, because of money, move over time.
Yeah.
They change, their priorities, because like I've said this before, but like a lot of people don't recognize the NCAA was started by Teddy Roosevelt in order to stop people from dying playing football.
Yeah.
And it was never meant to be a multi-billion-dollar organization that was, managing media rights and, interstate.
It was supposed to just stop football players from getting killed.
Yeah. Very
was.
admirable goal. And for a long time, before broadcast rights and before it became this giant, behemoth that we know it to be now, it functioned pretty well, but it was never designed to do what we expect it to do. Now, when we're like, yeah, govern this, they're like, yeah, that's not what we were built for, but now we're going to try to. And then you take their teeth out, and then they used to be able to just randomly find people or investigate, and they could take a banner down like that mattered.
Yeah.
Which is always one of the weirdest. Like, that'd be like seeing a movie and then someone telling me that the punishment was that I don't get to remember the movie. I'd be like, dude, I was at the movie. I saw it. Like, I was there. You're like, no, but you don't get to tell people you saw the movie. I was like, I mean, I don't have to talk about it, but like, I was there. It was a good movie. I liked it. And like, it's just these weird things because they were never designed to do it. And the way that sports shift and the way we view them, and I mean, between now streaming and I don't know what's going to happen with Apple and Amazon and all these other different streaming sites, because basically we just reinvented cable.
Yeah.
Like as a society, we accidentally just rebuilt a different machine of our own accord.
Mm-hmm.
You have a bit more leeway and understanding as to how it gets built, because you're like, I don't want this, I do want that, but we just were like, I'm not going to pay $80 a month for cable. That's crazy. I will pay $14 for this, $20 for that, $15, and then by the end of it, you just realize that
you're
you
paying
might be
the same
more,
amount
or more. I mean, my only thing was
yeah.
that our old cable required us to pay per box.
Oh my gosh!
So it was like $15 a month per like cable box. So at some point, I mean,
you get to a
I
certain
do have
point.
a very white trash amount of televisions in my house. I regret none of it, but it is accurate. So that's where the math on that came out. Was I could spread them between all of those without having to pay per TV. But I mean, in our old place, I had one in the bathroom, and so I mean, that is one of the things that as an adult, I feel like I earned the ability to have white trash televisions around. I mean, we have a gigantic one at our place in North Carolina that I bought it off of a Costco online thing. It's 130 inches, and the box that it came in was like bigger than my car. Because it has to have like the styrofoam on either side.
Hey, as a kid, the box was the most fun.
It was the silliest thing that I had ever seen, and my wife didn't know I did it.
Oh no!
And when it showed up, she was like, "You absolute redneck! This is the most ridiculous thing I have ever seen." And I looked at it just like a proud father, just like, oh, this is gonna be his stuff.
Reminds me of my dad. Oh,
I mean,
man.
Why not? I mean, I don't get to spend. Honestly, I don't buy that much stuff. I wear like 5 items of clothing and drive this. And I drove cars from the 80s for a long time. Like, it's not like I splurge on that much stuff. I might as well get to relive a childhood dream of having like the not Richie Rich, blank check TV.
Richie Rich, yeah.
Well, Richie Rich had one. He had the McDonald's in his house. It's a bit of a stretch, but well, y'all, thank y'all so much for joining us today. We will see y'all tomorrow. Drake, I appreciate you subbing in.
Always glad to be here.
Great to have you here as always. And we will see y'all tomorrow. We're gonna go. Goes into we got Clay Travis.
Yep.
What's the lead in here?
I think Clay Travis is who's on next.
All right. Well, enjoy. Have a great rest of your day. We will talk to y'all tomorrow.